Hello, welcome, and thanks for listening to Carbon Cli-MATES, an energy podcast dedicated to discussing all things energy, carbon, and sustainability. We also like to talk about what's getting hot, aside from our planet. I'm your host, Enya, and today I'm joined by my Carbon Cli-MATE and co-host, Adam. Hi, Adam.
Hi, how are you?
Yeah,
Hey,
yeah.
thanks.
Yeah, well, what about you?
Yeah, all's good. All's good. Just another day of work out of the way, so looking forward to have a wee chat about more things energy.
Exactly. Love to hear it. Love to hear it. So, Adam, you are I'm going to see if I can get your job title. Okay. You are a corporate energy and natural resources solicitor at A&L Goodbody.
That's right, yeah.
Okay, we're going to be delving into that in more detail later on in the episode. But first question, how's your week been? And can you tell us a bit about yourself?
Yeah, so yeah, it's been quiet enough with the bank holiday. Just spent the weekend, as I said, with my dad's birthday the weekend, so went home for that. From Uri originally, but living in Belfast now, so went home to see their family. And just, yeah, a couple of beers with him. Kind of nice chilled one. And then had a mate's 30th as well, so that's kind of
Very good.
weekend filled with birthdays, so
I don't know what it is. See, the summer, all the birthdays seem to be popping up.
yeah.
And I'm not complaining, but I'm just like, well.
Yeah, I'm kind of that's these was all 30th, so they're all kind of having really big birthdays, so it's you can't even be seen to be missing one. Which,
Yeah, you have to attend.
yeah, absolutely.
Oh, that's brilliant. So your job title, as I've just said, is Corporate Energy and Natural Resources Solicitor at A&L Goodbody. So how long have you been there?
Been there since October 23, so not that long. Relatively new to it.
Very good. And yeah, that's actually, we met when I think you were 3 weeks into the job at the
Right.
Energy Institute YPN event in Ulster University. So yeah, I think like once I had rumblings about the podcast then, so I'm like, yeah, definitely have you on it.
Oh, brilliant.
So yeah, so you've been there since October. So how long have you been in this sector, kind of the legal energy, maybe not so much energy because I know like more legal sector, say.
Well, legal kind of on and off for about 10 years. So graduated in law and then went to actually work for A&L Goodbody in Dublin for about 2 or 3 years. And then did a bit of traveling, kind of. So just to make sure that the law was definitely for me, kind of dip my toes into different industries, banking, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then realised that law was definitely the career for me. So jumped back into it maybe in the last 4 years. Did my training. And then once I qualified, that was when I kind of made the move towards energy.
Right, okay, yeah. Was there anything in particular that you've seen in energy? Like, you're like, I want to be a part of that.
Yeah, I think it's just how innovative it is. And there's a lot of law I think can be very repetitive in its very nature. Whereas energy, you're not going to get that. Every day is a different day. It's constantly changing. The way it's linked with technology, in other industries, it's obviously ever changing. So the link with them too. Just knowing that every day is a new day. It's constantly learning. That's kind of really what appealed me to it. So
oh my goodness. I'm kind of the same. I've been in the sector for about say 6-7 years. But even before I was like before this job as a sustainability engineer, I was more like on the practical side. I was more an office based work. It was for an energy company, but just kind of saying like I want to be like on that side that like, you're doing something towards the energy and everything.
absolutely. Getting more stuck in.
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
you're getting more actively engaged in it that way.
And see, when you were at school, like secondary school or even uni, did you ever envisage yourself in this role you're in now?
I was one of them. The whole way through school, I was actually more like technology focused. Loved technology in school, like did competitions and all that kind of thing. But always through that, you would have seen energy wasn't as big a talking point maybe when I was in school. You obviously had rumblings of recycling and that kind of thing, but it was never like the full scale energy focus as it is now. So kind of I think with a lot through the technology competitions, you would have seen a bit of innovation kind of coming through with regards to energy. But at that stage, it was more just focus on law. It's kind of one of those things when you're that young, you don't really know what law entails until you actually jump into it and see how many varying or like how diverse a kind of career path it can be. So kind of when I got into it, got qualified and saw that I was able to kind of link that love for technology with law. that's kind of what kind of shaped my path a wee bit more.
Okay, yeah, that's really great to hear. Like one of the things I want to do with this podcast is show like like everyone has a different experience, like when they're at that age deciding what they want to do
Yeah,
for the rest of their life. And like saying that, like deciding what they want to do for the rest of their life, it's such a like a daunting
it
thing.
really is.
And even I don't think like someone like at 16 or 70 who's picking A levels or deciding what uni like they're going to, that's a lot of pressure to put on them.
Yeah,
So even the likes of showing there is so many ways you can end up in the desired career you want.
absolutely. Like even guys I know who went to university with who all did law, very few of us do the same area. You
Mhm.
know, there's guys who have gone into like practice, some guys have gone into recruiting, some guys have gone into more like policy side stuff. So
Mhm.
it is kind of incredible just to show you how within a couple of years how everyone took a different path from it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. No, that's great. Okay, well, thanks for explaining that, Adam. So you're with A&L Goodbody, who I
Mhm.
constantly see on LinkedIn, from the energy promotions page. Like you do a lot of stuff for renewable NI.
Yeah.
But just to give a bit of a brief about A&L Goodbody, see, I'm gonna do this, and you're gonna be like, you absolutely butchered that.
Probably more than I do.
So A&L Goodbody, for Belfast, you're experts in energy regulation, finance, and development. You advise market leaders in renewable energy and development, and also focus on ESG and sustainability. You help navigate businesses in the changing economic, environmental, social, and governance landscape to ensure ongoing development and success. Does that sum it up?
That sounds perfect. Yeah.
Like
Blows off the tongue.
you guys do so much more like sectors like like the likes of criminal and like litigation and all that, but I wanted to focus on your website you have particular one like particular services that focus on the environment and
Yeah,
sustainability.
absolutely.
And like that was really cool to see, because not that I go about all the different law sites, but I don't know anyone else who like
Yeah, I'll go with it again. It's definitely a growing sector as well, I think. And like, I'm kind of going into a role where our company does definitely prioritizes it.
Mhm.
A lot of places would, I think, have merged the kind of energy in with other departments where we're kind of lucky in the sense that we do have a specific energy team.
Mhm.
And we all kind of very much specialize and have a love for it. So, and it's ever growing. Like I said, I'm relatively new to it, and already the team's grown massively since when I started.
Mhm.
So it's yeah, it's looking good.
Class, that's class. Okay, so before we get on to the questions, I'm going to ask you. I have a joke for you,
Okay.
and if you want to walk out of here after it, that's completely fine. So, what does a lawyer order to drink?
What?
Justice. Justice. I said it wrong. I messed it up. It's supposed to be just ice. So yeah, you can keep that. You can tell your friends. Okay.
Around the office tomorrow.
Okay. Well, see your role when you're focusing on the energy team. Can you describe a typical day or describe how untypical it is?
Yeah, so it is one of those things that every day very much is different. Again, one of the reasons why I absolutely love it. No 2 days are the same. There's days you're going in and doing a lot more kind of corporate focused stuff, or more merger and acquisition type stuff. So say for instance, if two companies are being buying another, but we would focus more so, like I said, in the energy field.
Mhm.
Being within mergers and acquisitions is good because it kind of even it involves all different departments within the company. So you can be working with people from the property team, people from employment, people from literally such a wide range. Like there can be pensions, there can be while it might be an energy industry company that you're purchasing or dealing with, it does have like a wider range and kind of scope to deal with throughout the firm. So it is interesting like that. Other days you can be dealing with a lot of policy based stuff.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
So obviously again with policy kind of we've had an assembly for quite a while, so policy is quite new in the north. So you're constantly looking at different jurisdictions and taking a land from how they have approached things. And so it is it's interesting, very interesting. Kind of almost to an extent kind of helps with you somewhat shape policy, because
Mhm.
it's so new. So it's very interesting.
That's class. So you're saying like you're kind of in a role where you have the potential to decide the future of Northern Ireland Energy.
Yeah, I'll maybe leave that to the boss more so than me, but if I can help him somewhat, yeah, that's It
Mhm.
seems to be like, no, it is very good. Like, I didn't think there would be as much policy involved in what we're doing, like a lot of regulatory type stuff. And I do really enjoy that. It is it doesn't feel like necessarily you're doing law all the time. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
it is different, but it's no, it's very interesting. Very interesting.
Okay, good. I know you do a lot of seminars, set up in with RenewableNI.
Yeah.
A lot focused in part of the Committee Energy Institute. That's how we met, of course.
That's right.
Like there's a lot of the team would focus on offshore, like
Yeah.
stuff, renewable stuff like the wind turbines. And know a lot of that. There's a lot of focus on that at the minute. Or
Yeah. I think again, just obviously with the targets that they've set for Northern Ireland, it's 80% by 2030,
Mhm,
100% then thereafter. And to achieve that, I think offshore is going to have to play a massive role. But then
mhm.
there's going to be issues in terms of planning, legislation there to allow that to come through. So that is massively what the focus is. So again, like you're saying, you're looking at other jurisdictions and how they've played it out. You look to the Republic of Ireland, you look at Scotland, you're looking at England and how they have approached it.
Mhm.
And obviously a massive part to play is the incentive schemes that are in place that the government put in place to kind of encourage investors to invest in renewable energies,
Yeah.
which is going to be massively important to kind of achieve those targets.
Mhm.
And yeah, so again, that's kind of a lot of the chat talks that we do. We host RenewableNI seminars in our office, and a lot of them are about the incentive schemes. Our last one there, Stephen and you kind of hosted it, but it was based on the new incentive scheme that will be coming in. So it's
Mhm.
like the first incentive scheme I think the last one was brought in was 2017. So it's going to be massively important to
Right.
kind of
Yeah.
try and achieve that
Mhm.
2030 target, which is creeping up very quickly.
You mentioned Stephen Agnew, so I have to tag him in this and be like, here, Adam mentioned you by name, just so you know. And he's like, so I have to listen to it, so I'm fine.
Just name drop, get as many listeners as you
Yeah,
can.
I know, tag, and everything. There's actually one time I was tagging something like I'm with this group at the minute, 30 under 30, and we're doing a
Oh,
lot of
yes.
stuff like around Belfast, like take us to different workshops and I tagged someone in TransLink
Right, okay.
and thought it was fine in the post. And then I went back to the post and they were like de-tagged and all. I was like, did he reject that or did he report that? Like what the heck? Like
Yeah. Yeah, some people are very peculiar about having things that they don't necessarily know about
yeah.
tagged in, so it's
Whereas like I'm all for it. I'm like tag me in
yeah,
everything.
everything.
So yeah, well that's great. Thanks for explaining.
No,
Typical
no
day.
problem.
So said at the start, A&L Goodbody, they're one of the leading energy firms in Northern Ireland. And you say their name in Belfast, you automatically know
Mm.
like who you're talking about. How does it feel to be part of that world? Like to be like to go places and say a name that like someone automatically recognizes it. They're like, yeah.
Yeah, it is great. Like I said, I worked for them in Dublin maybe about 10 years ago, and you kind of knew from the reputation that they had. And I was very lucky that when I went looking for a job again, particularly in the energy sector, or like in an energy role within the law firm, that were looking at the time for someone within energy. So very lucky to kind of been working with Mark Stockdale at the moment, who's been brilliant. Especially for bringing someone in who had no prior experience in the energy side of law. So I know it's been brilliant, very good. And you know that because, like you said, they are such a leading firm that you're going to get the best training you possibly can. So it's been a great experience so far.
It's great. Like, what? Very good. I'm like, what is it? I kind of feel the same, like BPP energy, like I say it with pride. But then I it's not that I have a lisp. I sometimes like have a lisp. So send the letters BPP, I can muck it up sometimes. So I'm just like, yeah,
That's,
builds in performance.
especially with an energy, there's not many acronyms. They don't necessarily roll off the tongue at all times.
Oh, great. So, for your role, was there any sort of training prep that you recommend for like being in it? I say that and I realize obviously you have to go to the institute.
Yeah.
Like,
That's yeah, that was the route I took. So I did just the law degree in the institute, but other people do DSQs in England and go that route. Which it is good in the sense that there are different avenues. There's not one right way of doing it, one wrong way of doing it. It allows kind of people to find a route that ultimately suits them, and then you get your training contracts. And some people go training. I think it's a lot of times, like haven't even seen, I didn't train with NL myself, but when you see the training that they do provide for the trainees, they kind of sit in different seats. So you might have a seat within employment, a seat within property, seat within corporate. So it means then after your 2 years, you've kind of got a wide ranging kind of experience of how a corporate firm works,
Right.
which is
Okay.
brilliant. Other people take a small on the different routes, but like I said, there's no right or wrong. I think ultimately everything does. You get experience from no matter what way you go about it.
Yeah.
Yes, that's it. Law is a very peculiar kind of industry in that regard. There's no right or wrong way of doing it.
Okay, very good. And you're saying in your energy team, like just like all the policies and all you have to read up on. Is there any particular guides that you find helpful that like helped you, like, with the amount of work you're doing?
I think it's one of those things. No matter, there's no one sort of resource that you go to more than the other. Like for instance, there's certain news websites like Renew, or is it Renews? Is a great one. Kind of shows you global energy news. Even so much as reading the Irish Times, and they have a lot in regards to planning. It's constantly exists, and because it's so news, it's very much in the news. Just being up to date with kind of like daily affairs is massively important, I think, as well. You understand like how the governmental kind of position with regards to planning and their outlooks and their just like I said, the incentive schemes of the government. So a lot of it is kind of very intrinsically linked with politics and the government. So being able to kind of keep up with scratch with that, I think is very important as well.
It's very, very interesting. I'm kind of in what you're saying. You mentioned about property there. One of the things with property and legal, we're on the side where we create EPCs, like energy performance certificates, for people. And one of the things that I'm really passionate about, and it's really to do with politics. Like so with an EPC, I'm explaining this to you, but I'm also explaining it to them. But like with an EPC, depending on what rating you get, you could get a green mortgage.
Yes.
And also some banks offer cashback options, so you can get money for your rating, and that's really great. But the EPC software we use to calculate for Northern Ireland, it's so out of date. Like,
right, okay.
It is about 15 years out of date.
Right.
It is 3 years off being able to vote. So,
okay.
yeah, and what is it? And like that pisses me off because there is like potentially properties that could be getting B or an A that people could be entitled to this like funding for, or there's properties that like, okay, you're actually like, a D or an E, like we need to get like, when grants and all come out for home improvement, you could you can apply for it. So
it's also making people aware that those things exist as well. I can imagine it's a job in itself. I think a lot of people just they tend to look at a house and don't look at those they don't realize the implications that energy has and those things,
Exactly. And then the thing with energy assessment, like it's such a it's for Northern Ireland, I feel like, like for energy assessment on buildings, I feel like we are kind of let down just because of our executive, like, there wasn't one for a while, which is why these updates didn't happen. But then when you look over mainland England, Scotland, like all their policies and like all the stuff they've got out, the percentage reduction, you're like, it's amazing.
It's good though sometimes having that blueprint though as well, because it allows you to take the bits that are right from what they have done, what the wrongs have done, so then it kind of hopefully might help. We can create a better policy and moving forward. It might be a wee bit slower, as you said, but it kind of allows you to cherry pick then what elements you think will work best for this jurisdiction.
You're just right. You're just right. So hopefully, I don't know, once this podcast gets bigger, we can talk to the executives and here's what you need to do.
That's it.
Be the first boat of calls, But
if you're on the end one here.
Yeah, exactly. Just absolutely, that'll be fun. Okay, well, thanks for giving us background on your training, a bit about your role and yourself. So, coming to the quiz section now.
Okay.
This is where I ask you questions kind of tailored towards yourself.
Okay.
So because you're being in the legal sector, you're talking about energy. So what is the first law of energy?
This is going to be Newton or something, something along those lines.
So yeah, it's kind of focuses in on thermodynamics. So it's the law of conservation of energy, and states that energy cannot be created nor destroyed, but just transferred.
Well, this brings me back to Keach's three. So it's many days. That's been a while.
When I was because originally I wanted to ask a question what was the first like energy law that was created.
Yeah.
And then it came up that I'm like, oh, hold on, that's better. Well, that's fine. Yeah, and to be honest, I was gonna put the joke in where it was like just ice, like
Nice.
in here, but like I just want to use that as fast as possible. So thank you for playing what we're gonna call is the laws of energy section. You've been really good contestant to have on.
Oh, thanks.
So, talking about your job roles and your projects, is there any particular favorite part you have when completing a project, or?
I think it's because every project's again so different. What I actually just love doing is dealing with the kind of clients on a daily basis. You're working, well, maybe not face to face. A lot of it can be through Zoom or whatever. But hearing their all individual needs, working with them and trying to find a solution for it can be very interesting. And then you learn a lot as well from a lot of the clients. Because they ultimately they're industry specialists. Like while we might do the legal side of it, they're the guys who are probably more industry specialists in terms of energy.
Yeah.
So you're learning a lot from them as well. So having that kind of constant conversation with them on different aspects of the industry is very interesting. I do like that.
Class, that's class. So Adam, thank you so much for coming on today and
Thank you
answering
for having me.
all the questions. You'll definitely be back, hopefully.
Anytime.
Well, actually, we'll see how the views do on this. And then, but is there any events that A&L Goodbody are part of in the future that we should be aware of?
Just keep an eye out, just like I said, for the RenewableNI seminars that we host. They tend to be advertised on LinkedIn through RenewableNI and the NL website, so keep an eye out for them. So try to do them, I think, quarterly, and they always touch different areas, what's relevant at the time. So they're always very well attended, and they're always great again because they're so well attended to kind of chat with other people within the industry as well.
I always see them, and I'm always like, yeah, I'm gonna go, and then it's just like something conflicting that day. I'm like, okay, the next one. Yeah, it's like, come on. Is there any other like firms that you guys would collaborate with that would like kind of do energy stuff as well, or?
In terms of collaboration, RenewableNI seem to be the major player that we kind of would deal with, but there's different events that we would attend, but whether not necessarily collaborate with them directly, maybe not as close as RenewableNI, but that's probably one that I would be better off running past my boss for. So that
okay, yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Sure, he'd be the main man to ask for.
Nope, that's fair. Apologies, that was a sneaky one.
No, all right.
Thank you so much for coming on today. You've been really like interesting to like interview and talk to, and you've shared so much insight into the legal sector and energy in Belfast. So before we go, do you have any advice for future prospective legal/energy professionals?
I think, well, one thing I've always just kind of tried to do is just consider yourself a sponge, especially early in your career. Just take in as much as you possibly can. Like I said, every day is a school day. Learn as much as you can about both the industry that you're working in, and any other that you think might have a positive impact on your job. So just take in as much as you possibly can.
Yeah, I feel like I remember when I started my career, I was like just taking in, like trying to absorb so much.
Yeah.
Now I'm feeling like I'm at the age. I'm like, I still want to take in stuff, but I'm like forgetting people's names. I'm like,
yeah.
Who are you? Like,
the smaller things that you tend to forget, like
yeah. And it's even like I was sitting in like I know we're doing this now. I sent you the crib sheet and everything. That's fine. But I was sitting at 7 o'clock like last night. I'm like, I need to send this to Adam. Oh my god! Like,
any and other things just to keep you busy. I can say flat out. So,
well, I usually try and say a pun for my sign off, like for the advice, and just can't think of any that is better than the just nice one, like just and so leave it there.
No problem.
Yeah. Nope, nothing's coming to me. Okay, that's fine. We'll leave it. Okay, but like, thanks, Adam, and yeah, you'll definitely be back on.
Great, thanks for having me.
Thanks for listening to Carbon Cli-MATES. If you follow us on Instagram at carbon_Cli-MATES, you can keep up to date with all our latest news and posts and episode releases. Okay, thanks for listening. Bye.